When you're looking to improve your cycling performance, should you stick to what you're good at or work on your weaker areas? It's possible to find exactly where those strengths and weaknesses lie by looking at your power profile. And in this video, Hank, Manon and myself do exactly that by taking on Wahoo's full frontal power test found on the Wahoo System Training app. Four-dimensional power profile, or the 4DP test, looks at 4 different metrics: your functional threshold power, your maximal aerobic power, your anaerobic capacity, and your neuromuscular power. Whatcha! That's my sprint impression.
That's 4 different takes on how you perform in a range of different effort levels, from short sprints to long endurance rides, more akin to like a climb or maybe even a time trial.
The idea is that by building up a comprehensive picture of your strengths and your weaknesses across different types of efforts, you can then adapt your training to work on whatever you need to work on.
We've all got goals to work towards this year, so I've roped in Hank and Manon to take on Wahoo's full frontal test today, because it's also going to tell us what type of rider we are. Now, everyone always assumes that Manon is the sprinter. Hank, I think, is the attacker. I think
I'm hoping I'm the attacker. I'm definitely not a time trialist or a climber, so we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think you're one of those.
What are you, Conor?
I'm not sure what I am.
I know what you are.
Big-footed?
The barn door.
The barn door, yeah, the barn door.
But I don't know if that's a... No. I know, in all seriousness, I could see you being a time trialer. I'm putting it out there.
Ooh,
time trialer, maybe a rouleur, we'll see. We'll see. Either way, it's 4DP test time.
Right, let's get kitted up.
Here we go.
10 seconds.
Here it comes.
What?
Come on,
I'll be honest, Conor's noises really put me off then.
Okay, got a bit of rest
We're
now.
off again.
Then into our 5 minutes effort.
My idea is to go out as hard as I can and then just try and sustain it.
Okay, Manon, how about you? What are you thinking for this next 5 minutes?
I'm not sure, I feel like I'm going into the unknown, not really sure what I can do for 5 minutes, but we're off already, and so yeah, let's see how we get on.
Okay, 1 minute 28 to go. Suffer! Come on, everyone. Let's do this. Good work, team. Okay, recovery time is over, and now we're into 20-minute test. Just go as hard as you can. And the Wahoo system 4DP test is going to take our number from that. Just keeping the energy levels high and the motivation strong. Telling us to dig in here now. Try and wring it out. No surge in the last minute. Now's the time to squeeze out the power. 3 minutes to go. Oh, well done, team. Oh my gosh. But now let's enjoy some recovery. Final effort. Let's finish off strong. Right then, a minute to go until our final effort of the 4DP test. 1 minute, all out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, come on. I feel like we shouldn't have done this when the National Health Service was on strike. Okay, so we completed the test.
It's over, if I'm honest. It was fun, but hard.
It was a tough test, but I really enjoyed it. I loved doing it with you two. It was great. It was a great laugh. But the results are in, and they're super interesting. We've been chatting about it just before we came onto the camera, and well, it's kind of confirmed what I always thought. I'm a time trialist, so I'm good at doing those long, sustained efforts. But I've got not the greatest sprint, not the greatest kind of short, intense effort that would win me a race.
Which is slightly different to my results. I kind of knew I was an attacker from 10 years of riding a bike and 9 years of coaching, and I'm able to do rapid recoveries and go again, but I'm really bad at that sustainable power, which is something I guess, Manon, you have in common as well.
Yeah, I guess probably the opposite to what Conor is. I'm just the sprinter, as confirmed in that results, and always have been. And I thought maybe because I stopped racing, it might have changed a little bit because my peak power isn't as high. But yeah, I'm still a sprinter, deep down.
It's amazing, really, because it's confirmed every single rider type that we are, which is really, I'm really curious to find out where we take that and whether we, continue to work on those strengths to improve our performance, or what sort of areas we should work on, to address those weaknesses. But now I think it's a great idea to catch up with Neal Henderson, who's one of Wahoo's sports scientists, and find out where we take these test results and how it might benefit our performances down the line. Hey Neal, thanks for joining us. To get us started, what's your opinion on our 4DP results?
Yeah, you guys did really great work, and it's cool to see the differences in capability. So, we look across those 4 different levels: your sprint ability, your anaerobic capacity, max aerobic power, and FTP, all in that one session, and it gives us a bit of insight.
How are all these different performance metrics linked?
Yeah, so we use the relationships of these 4 values to tell us a little bit about the kind of rider type you are. And the rider type isn't against everyone in the world. These are actually relative strengths that you have to your ability. So a sprinter type is going to have higher kind of that neuromuscular, that 5-second type of power. An attacker is going to have better anaerobic capacity. A pursuiter is going to have a little bit better max aerobic power. And for a climber or time trialist, it's kind of looking at either the power at FTP or power to weight at FTP. And a roller is somebody who's pretty strong and consistently across all of those. So the interrelationships tell us about the rider type you are as well as what your weakness is within that. So it's pretty insightful and useful information.
Why might working on those shorter interval lengths improve other areas of your performance?
Yeah, so if you're looking to improve FTP or max aerobic power, which are these kind of aerobic endurance type of related efforts, it's not actually always best to do long efforts. There's significant value in doing shorter, higher intensity efforts to stimulate a change there. So one way to do that for max aerobic power is to be doing what we call often micro intervals, where it's say 30 seconds of effort with 30 seconds of recovery, or 40 seconds of effort with 20 seconds of recovery. Lots of different variations of that, but we use a target there that is relative to your max aerobic power. So that kind of 5-minute power target for the 40 seconds on with just a 20-second recovery, and doing a series of 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 of those efforts in a row for a set, have a little bit of recovery, and do a few sets like that. Those are ways that you can build that capacity without doing those longer typical 2, 3, 4-minute intervals near that.
Why do you think it's easy to fall into working on what you're good at when you do head out on your bike and you're trying to improve your performance and get better?
Yeah, so cycling is something that we, as most of us, we enjoy getting out and riding. We enjoy doing the things that we're good at a lot of times too. And so it's easy to say, if I like sprinting, just going out and going with some buddies and going out and doing city limit sprints is going to be making me happy because I just do that thing that I do well. But if I want to be a little bit better rider, because some cases, we have hills that we have to get over. If I get dropped on the climb, I'm not sprinting, I can't even, there's nobody around me when we get to that city limit sprint or finish of a race. So I have to work on my climbing to be able to improve my ability to then express what I enjoy the most, that sprinting effort.
What sort of performance gains do you see with the athletes you work with that correctly work on their weaknesses?
Yeah, so when you focus on improving an area that might be a weakness, you can actually see some really big gains, because in most cases, the strength that you have, you've already worked on pretty well, and you may be getting to that point where it's diminishing returns. It takes a lot more work to get a little bit of gain. If you're working on something that's relatively speaking kind of a weakness or opportunity for you, you can see really big gains. You might even be gaining 1 or 2% per week in that kind of power. So if it's a sprint power, you could be gaining pretty quickly with just a few weeks of one session a week working on that.
Are plans adapted based on these 4 metrics then? What sort of sessions might I be prescribed with as a result of my test?
Yeah, so when we're looking at a training plan and how we build things out, we consider both making sure that you're addressing your strengths as well as then addressing that weakness. Those kind of 2 key sessions a week are typically going to be in almost any plan, except maybe your easier weeks. We tend to pull back a little bit, but both addressing and keeping what you're really good at and strong at, you're going to see that in the targets for every workout. So because, if somebody has a really good anaerobic capacity, those targets are going to be a little bit higher, relatively speaking, than somebody who has more of a big FTP. Those targets are going to be appropriately built in there, and you're going to be getting that stimulus. And then the other aspect, we think about that weakness and where is that opportunity.
Great to catch up with Neal and get a sense of how those test results translate to real world improvements. And today, I'm going to put his advice to the test. I'm going to head out on my bike. I'm trying out one of the training rides on system, which can be done indoors or outdoors, and it's going to address those weaknesses that were found out in my 4DP test. So I'm taking on the AC progression training ride, which can be followed along indoors or outdoors. Today I'm doing it outdoors using Wahoo's outdoor workout function, which sends the ride directly to my head unit from system. So I can follow along the directions out on the road. I don't need to memorize them before I head out or write them on my stem as I used to when I was racing. And this is the sort of ride which I may have avoided, to be honest, back in the day. So I'm interested to see how I find it and how the legs cope. So without further ado, let's give it a whirl. Great to be out on the bike, getting a bit of training under the belt. That's different to what I'm used to. I think when I was a pro, I was always going for those longer efforts just because that's what I enjoyed, and it felt like that's what I was most suited to and what I was often doing as a job. When I was racing, that's obviously a bit harder. I think in a way I almost avoided those shorter, sharper efforts. It's not the first time I've done a ride like this, which has been prescribed to me over on system. I've been trying to implement it into my training over the last few weeks. Just any time I've been getting on the bike, I've been switching from my usual to something which has been addressing those weaknesses. And I've got to be honest with you, I found that I've improved. I definitely feel like I've got more out of those sessions than I have done in the past. And there's almost a bit of proof in there. I came second in the GCM Presenter World Championships we did a while back, and I was out in the Philippines recently for a GCM Plus documentary, and I felt stronger than I have in quite a while. So for me personally, I think the fact that I've been working on these weaknesses has really been proving beneficial, and it's almost depressing in a way because I wish I'd realised this back when I was still racing. Big thanks to Wahoo for enlightening us, and let us know in the comment section down below if you're someone that always heads out the door like myself and just works on what they're good at and maybe ignores the weaker areas of their riding, or maybe you're someone who looks to try and tackle every area at the same time. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next one.